Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday, another podcast show that we're specifically talking about trending topics in the world, and we're having a conversation about like what's going on around us and how does it apply to us Latinos? How does it apply to our community, right? So on this episode today, stay tuned for the full episode because we're going to be talking about how the soccer superstar Messi his recent move to Miami, how it will affect their economy, and also Robinhood, a popular app where you can buy, sell crypto and stocks, is removing three huge coins off of their platform. Actually, I think it's four huge coins off of their platform. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for the full episode. As always, make sure you guys share this episode with somebody else that needs to hear this. And Jeremiah, what's going on, bro? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, bro. Thank you for having me on, man. I'm excited about us getting into it. Some big news.
Yes, sir. Some big news. Before we get into that big news, Jeremiah and I were talking before we hit record, and we're just talking about business. He was talking a little bit about um, his team and him as a leader and whatnot. And so, I really want to have a conversation briefly before we go into those huge topics about leadership skills and developing a team, right? So, Jeremiah, I'm curious from your perspective. What are some recent things that you've been learning as a leader to improve your team and make sure that you guys are putting out quality work.
So thanks for asking, man. And we were talking about it. I think something that I tap back into is being or learning to be a good leader is understanding the five love languages, right?
Mm,
Now, that also kind of depicts or comes from situational leadership, which says everyone can be coached the same, everyone can be mentored the same,
yeah.
right? The five love languages say that there is a certain archetype or a certain like type of person, right, that everyone is in the world basically, and we have five different love languages. If you've read the book, a lot of times they apply it obviously to a husband and wife, right, or
Hmm.
a partnership, right? And but I wanted people, and what I've been challenging people to do is use that book, The Five Love Languages, use it, read it, and then start to understand the way that it's actually applied to being a leader inside of an organization, right? You have to
Mm,
maintain relationships and you have to understand how to properly coach and bring out the best in other people.
mm,
How do I do that? The way that I
mm,
do that is understanding their love languages. It has nothing to do with love isn't obviously right the way you're thinking. Yes, it does work
mm,
in that way as well with your significant other, but it also works in how do I create and nurture these relationships and then get the best out of these people. You know, words of affirmation, right? Gifts,
mhm.
touch, right? You
Mhm.
probably don't want to use that one in the work setting, but
Right.
there's other there's within right understandable measures, right? A pat on the
Right.
back, a hug, like hey, it's all right if I hug
Yeah.
you. Hey man, give them a hug or a dab, things like that. So
Adapt.
there's
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
ways to do it, but five love languages basically just breaks down to you, well, me as a leader, understanding the
Mhm.
way that my people need to be properly coached to get the best out of it. And the way
Mhm.
we're going to be able to reciprocate good energy between each other if I'm doing things in the right manner, right? That they understand and they receive.
Absolutely. And how deep do you go into learning your team's communication style? Because I think obviously that's equally important. But just learning how people like to be communicated with. I know from my experience, I've been on a couple different teams, and to me, that was super important. Like I'm one of the guys that I love to talk about it. Let's get in the room. Let's talk it out. Even outside of work, like that's just who I am. I want to talk about it right away. And some people aren't like that. They like to like take the moment to think about it. Maybe you got to shoot them an email or something like that so they can have everything on paper. But
Right.
how important is that for your team to understand, how to communicate with everybody?
Well, you're not going to grow as fast or even grow to the length or size that you desire to grow, right? Without understanding that the way to communicate with different people. Now, a lot of people, I know they use the, astrology, right? What's your sign, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that person's sign, you can link it to some type of character trait, and so you kind of
Yeah.
understand generally the way people are.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I don't go into that, but what I will say is I do go into understanding based upon past experiences how to communicate with that person. Is it via text message, or do we have some type of discussion? I won't say like argument, but we have a discussion or a discrepancy, and
Mm-hmm.
then do I need to give them space for a day? And they come back
Mm-hmm.
and they're fine, and we talk it out, and they just need time to process. There's other people that if I don't hit them within 5 to 10 minutes after whatever a discussion or said, however, whatever, they feel a certain type of way. They feel they were abandoned. They feel that you don't care about them, that obviously this wasn't even on your mind, and it could be further from the truth. And so just breaking down and starting to understand the way people communicate, the way to talk to them, the way to respond, my body language as well, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
nonverbal cues whenever I'm talking to people, all these things go into effect because people respond differently. And so that's helped me to be able to build a team, but I just continue to nurture that. And so you can grow, to a higher level. And then not only that, you can get to a deeper relationship with the guys that you already talked to, the guys you already have.
Man, I love that. And even taking a step further, we read a book recently called UOU by Eric Thomas. And something that he spoke
Great book.
heavily on in that book is learning people's not only their love language, how to communicate with them, but also their personality types. And so, man, the way he broke it down in the book makes so much sense. So he broke it down, and you'll have to pick up the book to fully, like, what I'm saying, understand it. And I think he even has a free personality test that you look if you look it up online,
Yeah.
you can kind of understand like where you stand from the personalities that they created. So they talk about like, yo, when you're on the plane, right? So when you're on the plane, you got different people that have different roles, right? So you got the person that's the pilot, you got the flight attendant, you got the people on the ground, that's the ground control crew, you got the people on the towers. And so it's really amazing because the way he broke it down is like each personality has a role and they all work together to get the plane to the destination safely, right? So highly recommend that you guys, whether you're in a relationship, partnership, if you got a team, even if you're the leader of the team or you're not the leader of the team, highly recommend that you guys do like personality tests, learn, like Jeremiah is saying, the love languages, and even how everybody likes to communicate with each other. Because, man, that's only going to help you build a strong foundation to have a successful partnership, team, or whatever the case is. Even if, man, you can apply this to sports as well.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yep, absolutely.
Disc
So,
assessment, man. Last word
yeah,
I'll say is a disc assessment. If you know what that is, any of you that's been in an organization, you've taken one, right?
yeah.
Disc assessment. I think it's Bristol Myers is one of the companies that has it. You can investigate, just go online, take a disc assessment.
hmm So, yeah, I just mentioned sports. So, speaking of sports, huge news just came out last week. And for some of you
Big
guys are
news.
not into sports, don't worry, we're not going to get too deep into it. But Lionel Messi, soccer star, probably one of the most coveted free agents of this time right now, went ahead and picked Miami as his next destination where he's going to be playing at. Now, stay with me. I'm going to give you guys some information and some background about Messi if you guys don't know too much about him. So, he's a soccer player from Argentina, and at this stage of his career, he's probably considered the best soccer player of all time, arguably. People will argue that. He just recently won his first World Cup, and that pretty much solidified as him as the best ever. And so he was in a position after the World Cup to stay with his current team, go back to his old team, which was Barcelona, and also sign with a team in Saudi Arabia. But the crazy thing is, so he turned down Barcelona because he had heard that the team, in order to get him, they needed to cut players, they needed to cut salaries. And he was like, I'm not trying to be a part of any of that. So I'm not going there. And then Saudi Arabia, they offered him over $1 billion over the course of his contract. And he turned that down as well to go to play for Miami, right? So pretty crazy, right? It's a pretty big deal, especially in the sports world. But what we want to talk about is the impact that it's going to have on Miami's economy. I mean, I remember, when David Beckham, I'm not sure what team he was on before, but when he came to the LA Galaxies, when he came to America,
Yep.
I mean, there was commercials. It it was crazy, right? It was a big deal. And you
Yep.
see players like LeBron James when he comes to LA or when he goes to Miami, it's a big deal for the economy. So, yeah, bro, what are your thoughts about this? I have a couple things that I'd love to jump into, but what are your thoughts about all this?
First and foremost, congratulations to Messi because it's still a very very lucrative contract that he signed with Miami. So congratulations to
Hmm.
him for doing that. But I mean, and I want to say this before we get into what it means to Miami. What it means to Messi is, and he understands marketing, right? He
Hmm.
turned down the billion over the several different years for Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has links to, you know, human war crimes. They call it obviously not treating
Hmm.
people in the best manner, and so being connected to that cuts off your marketing, your marketability, right? Like you would get that money, but that'd probably be it. So he realized, hey, if I come to Miami, not only am I getting a lucrative salary, I'm also going to have the ability to get into the American market even deeper, then to
Hmm.
get to know me a little bit better. Maybe for the people that have been sleeping under rock that don't know me, right? And I can get maybe a bigger Nike deal, like all whatever he's seeking to
Hmm.
get, he's going to be able to get it. And so I know that he'll make up that money and endorsements and probably supersede that. Now, what it means to Miami is obviously the same as when you had the big three, right? You had LeBron, Wade, and you had Bosh, and the Heatles, right? And those guys were winning championships. Miami was on fire. You always had yacht purchases. I looked this up. It was crazy. Yacht purchases during that time period went up like 67%. Everyone wanted to
Wow.
be in Miami. Real
Wow.
estate purchases on Star Island, you had
Yeah.
an additional, it was like $800,000 additional that was added to home prices living in that area,
Hmm.
restaurant prices, everything. There was just money that was moving around lucratively, nightclubs, everything, right? The stars, you always had rappers and stuff that always wanted to be there in Miami. I was living down there during that time period, and I can just tell you that it was an
Wow.
extreme influx of income from Miami.
Wow.
During that time period, they revamped their downtown.
Mm.
This was like 2011, 2012. They started revamping their downtown, had a huge project towards the center of the downtown because Bayshore and everything was always nice. Revamped that stuff. Money was coming in. And so, what you can start to see with Messi is, I believe you're going to see almost like the second coming of that.
Oh,
Soccer is the
100%.
number one sport in the world.
Yeah.
It's not big here in the United States because we have our own sports, right? And so, this is kind of like the last frontier, right? Like they're the kind of pioneer. Soccer's here, but it's still not right to the
Hmm.
level of baseball, football, and basketball. And so
100%.
now what you're going to start to see is it's Messi fever, and I think it's going to take over. I believe Miami is probably going to see an influx of cash again. It's going to be it'll be crazy because you have to think about the international appeal. Um, the various different types of people, celebrity stars, different soccer players that want to come in, exhibition matches that'll be set up with maybe Manchester or someone else from a different form, Barca or
Hmm.
something, right? So there's money that's going to be just coming in, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. And the crazy part is, so he's going to go play for Miami, and the owner of Miami, we just mentioned him, is David Beckham. So,
Yep.
I mean, come on, like I'm sure there's conversations of him maybe being part owner of the team or
Sure.
another team.
Sure.
And you mentioned LeBron James in the Miami Heat. It's crazy because I was doing a little research when he went to LA. He there was a study that showed that LeBron James moved to LA, created over 3,000 jobs, and brought in over $29 million in state income tax. And that was the projection when he had just got to LA. So, with the movies that he's done and probably a lot more jobs, but like Jeremiah is saying,
Hmm.
um, soccer is the world's number one sport. Football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. I think this is going to have a huge impact on Miami's economy. I was also looking up LA or whatever cities that LeBron James had went to, whether it was LA, whether it was Cleveland, Miami, or back to Cleveland. The restaurants 1 mile of the city, the restaurants, the bars, and the businesses 1 mile of the city that he played in, of the arena, they grew by at least 13% while he was there.
There it is.
At least.
There it is.
Yeah.
Now, comparable, right? LeBron and Messi. I mean, honestly, if you go some places, people know Messi and they don't know LeBron, right? So
True.
but the same way, vice versa, right? So very comparable numbers. I think those numbers are great that you gave those stats because it's very comparable.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And the craziest thing is like something's on a smaller level. Before Messi signed with the team officially, the tickets for the Miami soccer team, they were like $29 or something like that. And immediately when he announced it, the resellers shot up to like $467, like for nosebleeds minimum, right? So yeah, I mean, crazy. Tourism's gonna definitely go up. I mean, I can only imagine Messi fans are gonna want to go to Miami to see him, or if
For
he were
sure.
to come to one of these big cities like Dallas, New York, LA, people are gonna that game's gonna be sold out, hands down.
Most definitely. Yeah. Because you don't know how long he's going to stay there, right? I mean, he's older as well, so you got
Yeah,
to
yeah,
understand
yeah,
that. You don't know how
yeah.
many years you're going to be able to get this. So,
Mhm.
when he comes to your city, you definitely want to make sure that you take advantage of it.
Yep, yep. That's what they. That's what a lot of great European players or players from different countries. They make a lot of money in Europe, and then when they're older and they don't have much left, they come to America and make even more money. That's how they do it.
We got to
Uh,
try to figure out how to get on the other side of that and have them here in the early stages of their career. The thing is, though, like we said, soccer or football just doesn't have the pull, it doesn't have the
yeah,
appeal over here like it does everywhere else. So
100%. I think there's a pride thing that goes along with it. Like it's almost
yeah,
like if you spend the majority of your career in America in the MLS, and then you go to Europe, it's like you're doing it backwards, bro. Like you're not that good. I can definitely see how people.
we could, right? I mean, we used to say that about basketball as well, right? The guys would be in Europe, they go pro at
True,
15, 16 years old, and then they come over here to the NBA, but
true.
we don't do that anymore, And so I think maybe we could shift that. It would take a
Yeah,
conscientious effort of people coming over here first and us making sure that they know that they're the top or however, whatever. Like I said, maybe exhibition games with Barca or Madrid,
hmm,
right, and things like that. But it could be done. It's
yeah,
basketball's changed, so
yeah.
it's possible. I'll say that. I don't know if
I
they'll
think our
do it.
time. Yeah, I was gonna say I think our time's definitely coming because if you look at the World Cup, the USA team were they favored to win? Probably not, but they were a damn good team, right? So
They
they're
were
only a young team, and they're only going to get better. So I can definitely see how we can shift it around.
for sure.
Yep, and we're going to shift into our next topic. Speaking about Robinhood, is set to delist a couple different major crypto tokens from their platform. They're set to delist Cardano, Polygon,
Huge.
Solana. Was there another one? I think that was it. I think it was
XRP.
XRP. Yes. Okay. Cool. But yeah, with that being said, they're looking to remove them um, because after Securities and Exchange Commission deemed them as unregistered securities. And which the crazy part about this is, so they're going to be delisted from Robinhood on June 27th. And if you are invested, this is really important. I seen this. I didn't even know this. If you are invested in any of these coins, again, Cardano, Polygon, Solana, XRP, if you're invested in any of these, and it's in your Robinhood account on June 27th, those assets are automatically going to be sold on the market. So if you bought them, I don't know what they, at one point, let's just say, I think Solana was maybe at 150 at one point. It's
Yep.
probably like at $30. I'm not sure the exact price is down right now, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, you probably would take a loss on that coin
For
if you were
sure.
to sell it on June 27th. I mean, I think even with this announcement, they're down even more. So I say all that to say, if you have any tokens, any crypto on Robinhood, this is not financial advice, but personally, I would suggest that I would take these coins off and put them on a physical wallet or find you a different wallet aside from Robinhood. Robinhood does not have the best history with when there's a lot of people using them. Sometimes it tends to shut down.
Yep.
Customer service is terrible. So if I were in your position, I would take off anything from that platform and put it somewhere else. Not financial advice though.
I mean, I'm in position to give you the financial advice. We'll say that we're not giving you that. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, right? If I don't have Robinhood because I elsewhere, and this isn't a plug for people's platforms, right? But
Mhm.
I would be moving that, right? I'd be moving all of my assets out of there that I had that were going to be delisted and put them into another wallet because you need to have access to it, and you don't want to get. Come on, let's be honest. You don't want your crypto short sold. That's what's
No,
basically going to happen, right?
no.
It's going on discount. They're short selling it, and so that's
Yeah.
what you're. I mean, and you get whatever's left out of that, and you may have wanted to actually hang on to the asset value, right? Whatever, however many you had 100, 300, maybe. You know, you didn't even want the cash. You wanted to hang
Mhm.
on to them. You believed in it. I see so many guys that
100%.
I talk to, right? And it's crazy that they pick these specific ones because when you do the tokenomics, right, which is actually going in and studying the tokens, what's their utility rate, like ROI, all that, right? The same stuff that you got that people do for stocks. So you do that for the tokens. You see that, man, these are actually very, very strong tokens.
Mhm.
XRP was set to be, you know, one of the biggest. People were just waiting on some stuff that was going on, but people were
Yeah.
just waiting on it because tokens are, there's a difference between coins, tokens. People need to understand that as well. Coins have their own, on as far as actually on the chain, right? They have their own versus a token is just part of one. And what does that mean? Anytime that you have to trade a crypto token, right? And you have to use some other type of form of crypto in order to
Mhm.
exchange or trade that,
Yep.
it's not on its own it's not on its own blockchain
Right,
network,
right.
right? And so just understand that difference as well. But yeah, man, I'm like you, Chris. Take it out, put it into something else, get you one of the physical ones, keep it in lock and key in a safe, right? Those are always good. Or move it over into a wallet that you have access to.
Yeah, and again, if I was in your position, even if I had stocks on there, I would take those off and put them somewhere else because again, Robinhood, it's just I think it's phenomenal for people if they want to do some quick transactions and good entry app. But if you're holding it
Sure.
for the long term, I would definitely say that I would take my investments off that platform. But um, I mentioned that these crypto assets are unregistered securities. Could you break down for the
Mhm.
audience what that means exactly?
Yeah, so usually, right, anytime that you decide that you want to delve into securities are what? Stocks, right? Mutual
Hmm.
funds, money markets, CDs, things like that, right? But basically equities or stocks. Anytime that you deal with that and you want to buy something or exchange or delve inside of that, now obviously we have Fidelity, TD, and a whole bunch of other self-directed items, right? But usually you
Hmm.
sit down with the broker or you sit down with someone that is licensed in securities, right? And those stocks that you're going to buy, they're registered on as a part of the SEC. And so there's certain laws and certain rules and regulations that they have to adhere to. They can't just, do business in any type of manner. They can't sell them any way that they want to. They have to adhere to hours, right, within the New York Stock
Hmm.
Exchange. And so those are registered securities. It's registered, right? And so in order to handle in those and sell those, usually if you're dealing with the brokerage and stuff like that, you have to have a license or accreditation. Now,
Hmm.
unregistered is, well, now crypto, right? They have no, basically there's no rules, there's no laws that are set to it. And so how are you, if we're going to focus in and figure out, if something happens, is there any security? Is there anything that's actually going to be able to help you to keep it, right, justified or guaranteed that you're going to get your money back, or that someone is there to make sure that, things that happen like with FTX, that it doesn't happen
Hmm.
again, right? These are the type of things that you need to think about. When they say unregistered securities, they're saying, hey, there's no backing for this, and it is a security.
Yeah, 100%. So I just wanted to bring up real quick. So last year, June 27th, 2022, this is only for Solana. You can do your own research and see the prices and whatnot, but it was at $38.46 one year ago. Within the last hour, it's now at $15.24. So
Yep.
again, if I don't know when you guys bought it, but we would highly suggest that you would take it off there and do what you please. If not, you're probably gonna lose it, and it's gonna be at a loss. So,
Most
with
definitely.
that being said, I think that's all we got for today. Did you have anything else for the people out there?
No, man, just want to make sure that everybody share this with at least 3 to 5 people, guys. Like Chris said at the
Yeah.
beginning of the
Mhm.
broadcast, we want to make sure that you guys know that this information is pertinent. We want to make sure we're providing value. If you caught value today, go ahead and share with 3 to 5 people. And make sure in the comments, if you're watching this, post us recording it, right? Because you're watching this Wealth Wednesday. Go ahead and post in the comments. We'll go there and
Mhm.
see maybe some of the issues or something that you would like posted and like us to talk about. So we
Mhm.
appreciate everybody that's watching. And yeah, that's it, man. That's all I got.
Love, love. That's it. That's it. And with that being said, you guys can follow us on Instagram at Latin Wealth. Like Jeremiah said, go ahead and share this episode with somebody else that needs to be up to speed on crypto. Again, look out for what's the date? It's June 27th.
June
Right
27th.
now, when this episode you'll be hearing this is on June 15th. You got a couple weeks to figure that out. Share this with friends and family. With that being said, it's your boy Chris. Catch you guys next week. Peace.